Hey guys, so I wanted to come on and show you some of the home projects I did in a new house that I moved into about 3 years ago. So first up is this mudroom area that took me about 2 weeks to do with breaks and working and everything. It was definitely a labor of love, not an easy project, but I think it came out really well and has been very useful. Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be working on the mudroom area. Here is what the mudroom looks like right now. But this is the space. It's between the garage door here and then over here we have the kitchen. But yeah, the space is about 50 inches long and then maybe 25 inches coming out about. I had this socket here moved up because the bench will be covering it. It's the color I'm planning on painting the wall above the bench. So yeah, the ceilings are about 9 feet in here. The cabinet will not reach the top. It's going to be a 25-inch high Besta unit that I'm going to mount up there, and then down here is going to be a Besta unit. So here's two 2x10s. I'm just using these to prop this up now. So this is the Besta unit that I got from Ikea. It's 47 inches wide and 15 inches high. This gave it additional 1.5 inches here. This is a drawer, Besta drawer I bought. It's soft close. And then I added a shelf on this side for like different types of storage. And then on top of here is gonna go two 2x10s. And then I'm gonna put some filler pieces on this side. I'm gonna have to cut them down the size just to make sure they'll work. But first I want to cut the bench top just to make sure that works. Here's my little dog. Loves following me around. Say hi to the camera, fatty. So here's what the wood top bench looks like now. It's two 2x10s that I glued together. It's been glued for like 2 days. So here I've marked off about how much I need to cut off. Here it looks like the distance between the two walls is about 50 inches and a quarter. Okay, so I'm definitely not a pro at using this. And I have cut a few pieces with a circular saw before, so this isn't my first time, but it's definitely not something that I've done enough to feel very comfortable with. Okay. So here I'm using a multi-tool to cut out a piece of the baseboard trim so I can put the base trim of the Besta unit flush with the wall. And then I used a box cutter to cut the caulk at the top of the trim. Probably should have did this first in order to get this piece off easier. So after I cut out those two pieces of trim, I put in the trim that's going to be covering the 2x4s here. I cut it down to size using my circular saw. And now I'm going to put this 2x4 behind it here so I can start to measure the base frame. Maybe a little bit shorter, like 1/8 and 1/8 again, yeah. 8 and 1/8. Okay, so I've cut 3 pieces to size, cut a 4th one here, just for extra stability. I cut one of these 1x2s primed to fit here using like a multi-tool. I cut off the sides so that it could fit in here. It's not the recommended way to do it, but that's what I had on hand. I had like a multi-tool, so I used that to cut this so that it will fit in this area right here behind the baseboards. So then, yeah, just like that. I don't know if y'all can see that. But yeah, that's how it's supposed to fit in, just to cover that filling space. Now I'm gonna cut this to the height of the Besta so that the bench can fit flush on here. So I'm gonna cut it right there. And then same on this side. I had to cut the filler piece on here. I had to cut the filler piece a lot more in order to fit this right here, like you can see where the gaps are. But I do plan on caulking the sides, so hopefully that won't be as bad. So I'll just cut down these sides now, and this is what the dry fit is looking like right now. It's pretty much how I want it. So this is how the wood looks after I filled in the gap in the middle, and then I also covered some of the knots a little bit so you don't see the texture. So I primed the filler pieces with Zinsser 123 primer from Home Depot. I also primed the bench with the same primer. Hey guys, so it's like 2-3 days later, and I've taken off the hooks that were at the top there and filled in the holes. And then I also took off the cover plate for the plug here. And now I'm about to put up some hardboard paneling in order to get rid of the texture in the wall so that the board and batten will be smooth, particularly the board part. Okay, so I finally got the hole cut out. I used my multi-tool to get it out. Definitely was not an easy task. It took me like 30 minutes to get it out using measuring it like 5 million times and then doing a cut with my multi-tool and a utility knife. And now I'm going to apply this liquid nails to the back of it and apply it to the wall here. I've never used one of these, and I've never used a caulk gun. That's what this is. So apparently I was supposed to use part of this caulk gun to puncture a hole into here, and then I'll be able to use it. Did I even need to put that construction adhesive on there?
You should smooth it out.
Is it smooth? Oh man, just stop working. So I filled in the brad nail holes with some filler, and I sanded it down the next day. Then I primed the board with Bullseye 123 primer by Zinsser. So here's how the wall looks fully primed. I didn't really do the top part just because it's going to be covered. So here I'm putting the cabinet together for the top part of the mudroom area. This is a 47 by 25 inch Besta frame. And then I do add doors to it. It's the doors that kind of look like shaker cabinets. I'll leave a link to that in the description box. So the suspension rail looks like this. Bought this from Ikea. I needed 2 of them. And that's where we're going to mount it up there. So now I have the suspension rails screwed to the wall in a total of I think 3 separate studs. This took way longer than I thought, like maybe 2 hours, but it's up there. Now I'm gonna try to put the Besta unit onto the suspension rail. So this is what the back of the Besta unit looks like. These silver brackets are going to attach to the suspension rail that I mounted to the wall. So this is what it looks like all mounted in. And I'm going to put some screws at the top where you see those holes are and screw it into the wall further. So here's how the cabinet looked finished with the doors applied. Now that the cabinet was done, I went back to the base and finished that up. Here I'm brad nailing the trim to the base frame that I connected to the Besta unit. Filled in the brad nail holes with wood filler, and then I added the Besta unit back. Added in the trim pieces, or the filler pieces, to give it a more seamless look, and I brad nailed those in. So with the bench, after I primed it, I went back and added Benjamin Moore's Cabinet Advance paint to the bench in the same color as the Ikea Besta unit. I had it color matched. Like, I brought up one of the doors to the Benjamin Moore store and they color matched it. So after all of this, I finally started adding the trim boards to the panel to create the board and batten look. These are just 1x2s that came already primed from Home Depot. I first added construction adhesive to the back of the boards, and then I nailed them in with the brad nailer. And then I also was using tape here to help minimize the holes that the brad nailer left, but I don't think it really helped that much, so I probably wouldn't do that again. And here's my cute little dog Taj again. Some of the construction adhesive got onto the primed board after after it fell, as you saw, so I'm trying to get it off. So I did use a level on the piece in the middle to make sure it was straight. And I'm done.
So afterwards I added some wood filler. That's what those pink spots are, where the boards met, just to give it a more seamless look. It will dry white. And I also caulked where the trim pieces met the panel board. This was a lot more labor intensive than I thought, just getting the caulk really smooth, but I got it done. So afterwards I started to paint. I used the color Undersea by Behr. I thought about also using black, but this area gets pretty dark. It doesn't get much light, so I went with a very, very dark blue, kind of blue grayish color. I used the marquee version of the Behr paint. I didn't paint this as smooth as I would have liked, especially like near the areas trim pieces are in the corners. So I did have to go back and do some touch-up paint to get this area a little bit more smooth. But here's some tape peeling. So afterwards I added some handles to the doors. The doors from my Ikea don't come with handles. I decided to go with more of the flat look handles for this. And this is my first time installing handles, which I think I did a pretty good job here. It was kind of difficult to make sure that the handles aligned with the door next to it. But yeah, it came out pretty close. So here I decided to put one handle in the center for the pull-out drawer and another handle on the left side, just because it'll make it easier to pull the shelf side open. So when we first moved in, I did have some hooks here that I installed like very early on, and what I did was remove these hooks. So now I'm putting those hooks back on, the same hooks that were there at the beginning of the video. I did also decide to buy one of those paintable plug covers just to give this a more seamless look. I feel like I'm saying seamless a lot in this video. And this is the finished look, y'all. It took me probably about 2 weeks to do. Definitely wasn't a quick project, but you know, I did go to work and took a lot of breaks. A lot of this was done on the weekend. I did add filler pieces on the top cabinet as well, as you see there. I actually did this 2 years ago and it's still holding up. This project costs about $600 to do. That includes the 2 Besta units and the doors and the drawers, as well as 4 primed 1x3s that I got from Home Depot, and also the paint for the wall. On top of that, I did purchase a brad nailer and a multi-tool from Direct Tools Outlet. That was an additional $125 for those 2 tools. But thanks for watching this video. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.